This video deals with corporate strategies, and it should be viewed in the context of several other videos on the same topic or relate to the same topic that are available on the course. So let's just start this one and deal with it. It's a short video, so deal with some of the key issues that come out of this. The most basic question, I suppose, is what is corporate strategy? Well, it's those strategies concerned with the broad and long-term questions of what businesses or what business the organization is in or wants to be in, and what it wants to do with those businesses. So this is the consideration of direction. Where does the business want to be? Let's say in 5 years' time. What sort of business do they want? Does the owner want? Does the management want? Where do they want to position the business? What's the type of business they want to be in? What do they want to make or do? Who are the likely customers? What's the likely market? What's the product? What are they aiming at? This is the consideration of direction. Where does the business want to be? And if it doesn't have this sense of purpose, this sense of direction, it's just simply going to drift along. It's going to move from one day to the next without any particular direction. It doesn't know if it's doing well or not because it doesn't have a benchmark. It doesn't have something to strive for. So corporate strategy is very important. It's very important that the business knows where it wants to be and what it wants to achieve. It must have a target. It must be working to try and achieve that target. Task involves moves to enter a new business. That could be one of the strategies. Perhaps enter a completely new business or set up a new business. Perhaps a new line of production. Perhaps a new innovative product. Perhaps a different way of making some existing product which is innovative and interesting to the customer. So it could be looking at a new business. So although the person making the decision, the entrepreneur or the business person making the decision about corporate strategy is within a business, they may actually be planning a new business to replace the existing one. They may think that the changes are so significant, so profound, that a whole new business is required. They can't alter the existing business. A new business may be required. And this can happen sometimes when people are jumping industry. If they're currently in construction, they're currently building houses, but it's very competitive and they're not making a lot out of it, but they're surviving. Perhaps people in the office want to move into a new business where they supply raw materials to house builders, or they take on marketing new houses. So they become a marketing company. They've got the background in building, so they know all about houses. So now they've become a marketing company. It's a new direction. It's a new business. But it depends crucially on, as I said earlier, the entrepreneur, the person who makes the decision, the person who's innovative and keen on change. It depends on the management structure and how flexible they are and how willing they are to move into a new area of production, gain new expertise, start again almost. It could be looking at actions to boost the performance of the business. It could be looking at the existing business and thinking about reorganizing production, getting in some new machines, some specific machines to perform specific tasks, reorganizing the stores, getting the workforce trained in new skills, reorganizing the offices and streamlining the bureaucracy involved in the organization, streamlining the paperwork and the channels of communications. There are all sorts of actions that can be taken, and these need to be worked out. They're in a sense part of the corporate strategy. The corporate strategy is to improve the efficiency of the organization. Perhaps there's a commitment to total quality management and the continual improvement of quality and of the processes within the organization. That could be it. So there are different strategies that can be followed. And they're always trying to capture the synergy amongst related businesses. Synergy are the advantages of combining tasks, of working together, of benefiting from each other's existence. It's the old adage that 2 + 2 = 5. That when one business cooperates with the other, the combined effect is more than each of them separately. They're able to share expertise, share knowledge. They're able to perhaps gain economies of scale. Two companies may be able to make single purchases and therefore able to negotiate better discounts, or able to share transport systems or logistical systems. So the management are constantly looking for ways to capture synergy, capture linking parts of the business together to maximize the efficiency of the business. And that could be part of the corporate strategy, to capitalize on synergy and the ways in which different parts can work together to cooperate to get a bigger output and a more efficient output as a consequence of working together. It's important to establish investment priorities and steering corporate resources into the most attractive units. When investment is made, it shouldn't be made just blindly for the sake of it, or the fact that it's a new machine and someone thinks it's a good idea to get it. This should be a calculated response to the development of a new machine or a new technology. Is it worthwhile? Will the machine be used continuously? Will the return on the machine justify its expenditure? Could the money, the resources spent on the machine have been better used elsewhere in the business? In other words, what's the opportunity cost of getting the machine? Opportunity cost is a term often used in economics. Opportunity cost means the cost of the next best alternative foregone, the next best alternative that we've given up. What's the cost? What have we just given up in order to get this machine? And what we've given up might have given a better return than the machine. So it's important to work out the internal rate of return on a machine, to do proper investment appraisal. Look at the payback period. Look at the internal rate of return. Look at the net present value. Do as many calculations as possible. Try to estimate the benefits of the investment before making the investment. Don't just buy the machine and keep fingers crossed that there will be a return. That's not how it should be done. Single and multiple business organizations. Well, single business organizations, these could be primarily in one industry. I say primarily, many larger companies have an existence or a presence in many companies. They may have bought shares into many companies and may be involved in different markets, in fact, but predominantly or primarily in one industry. Coca-Cola are in the beverage industry, mainly. Wrigley are in chewing gum, mainly. So the involvement is in one type of business, a single business. And that might be a part of the corporate strategy. Or it could be to have multiple businesses operating in more than one industry. So a company has got a foothold in different industries. Pepsi, for example, snack food business, and also the beverage industry. So some companies are in different markets and operate in different industries. And of course that diversifies the risk. It enables them to offset some of the risks. If one of the parts of the business is not doing well, the other part may compensate. So it diversifies risks, and for that reason it might be attractive, and it may be a part of the corporate strategy for that very reason. Another example would be Philip Morris, who's in the tobacco industry, but also in the brewing industry and food processing. So, but as I said, it cuts across. It depends on the strategy of the business. And it's important to try and work out what the strategy is. What are they trying to do? What are they trying to achieve? What's the purpose? What's the advantage? And for that matter also you could look at what are the costs and what are the issues. But what are the advantages? It's the advantages that will surely determine whether they diversify in this way or whether they will stay within a single industry, or whether they will stay a single company in a single industry. Corporate, competitive and functional strategies. Well, corporate strategy establishes the overall direction that the organization hopes to go. So corporate strategy is the overarching strategy, the one that tells the reader who accesses the corporate strategy, tells the reader where the business is going to be in, say, 5 years' time. What are the aspirations of the management? Which direction do they want to go? What do they want to achieve? Sometimes it's caught up in the mission statement. The mission statement is just a statement of what the business is, what it does, and its credentials as a business. Normally it appears in the accounts of the company, but sometimes you'll find it on the website as well. But generally speaking, a mission statement might be short. It's very short. It could be 40 words, 50 words maybe. Not very long. Some are very short. So some might be just a couple of sentences. Some might be a paragraph, a small paragraph. So sometimes the corporate strategy can be worked out from the mission statement. Certainly there must be compatibility between the two. So the type of business, where it's going to be, what it'll be making, how it'll be structured, where it'll be located, types of product it'll produce, its relationship with its stakeholders, relationship with the environment, its green credentials. So all of this may be set out in the corporate strategy. But also commitment to quality, continual improvement, the way it sees its customers and the types of relationships it wants with its customers. So that can go into the corporate strategy. That's a very broad strategy. The competitive and functional strategies provides the means or mechanisms for making sure that the organization gets there. So once the direction has been set, then some sort of modus operandi must be put in place. How does the business get there? How does the business enable the corporate strategy to be fulfilled? Well, this means reorganizing production, reorganizing distribution, reorganizing the offices, getting more trained personnel, and so on. So what we're doing here is operationalizing the strategy. Possible corporate strategy directions. Well, moving the organization ahead, that's one. So one particular strategy is organizational growth. That might be the motivation for corporate strategy, to set out a way to show how the business will grow. If the business is currently of a certain size, they want to increase its size. Management like to be in charge of a bigger business. They like to have growth, and that might be a key objective, and one which is reflected in the corporate strategy. It could be keeping the business where it is, but securing the business, having organizational stability. So not growing the business necessarily, but building up its strengths internally. So when the market changes, it's flexible. It has an agile workforce that's capable of meeting the new skill requirements and adjusting, and the machines are also can be easily switched over, and so it's developing a more secure presence within its current niche. So it's organizational stability is the name of the game. Not necessarily getting bigger, but just being more efficient, more cautious, and having more skills and better equipment, and better able to see downturns, better able to innovate the existing product and deal in that particular part of the market, build up its reputation in that part of the market. It could be reversing an organization's weaknesses or decline, organizational renewal, which means if the business has had a problem, fixing it. Fixing the problem, learning from the experience, setting up systems to avoid downturns or problems like that in the future, and moving ahead. So we call it organizational renewal. It means fixing the organization, renewing the organization, refreshing the organization. And sometimes it happens not because of necessarily a downturn in demand for the product or something adverse happens to the business. It could simply be that their continual commitment to quality and better customer satisfaction sometimes means slightly more radical changes to the product and hence more radical changes to the organization. It's not as if innovations and customer requirements are always very gradual. Sometimes they're quite radical. So perhaps the customers are looking for quite a big change in the product, and therefore the organization must restructure quite radically. This would be called organizational renewal. So those are some ideas about corporate strategy and the issues associated with corporate strategy. As I said, there are several videos on this available on the course and in various parts of the course. So it's important that you take those out and have a look at them and make notes about what we have read and add to your notes by your own general reading. But that's all I'm going to deal with in this video, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.